You wake up. Before the first sip of coffee, your thumb glides across the screen, an almost unconscious gesture, a modern ritual. You agree. You accept the cookies, you accept the terms, you accept the convenience. But what are you truly accepting? There's an invisible contract, written not in legalese, but in code, executed on cold, distant servers every second of your day. It doesn't ask for your money. It asks for something infinitely more valuable: your sovereignty. Every click, every like, every silent search in the dead of night is a clause you ratify without reading. It's a drop of your free will feeding an ocean of data. The illusion is that technology serves us. The dark truth is that we have become its most abundant natural resource. The price no one wants to pay isn't charged in currency, but in autonomy. And the most terrifying part? The invoice is already being issued in your name, and you keep hitting accept, believing it's all free. Free is the oldest, most effective bait in the trap. Think of algorithms as architects, but they don't design buildings of steel and glass. They design destinies. And the material they use to build the future is the rubble of our past, a past stained by bias, inequality, and systemic injustice. When an AI is trained on historical data to decide who gets a loan, who gets a job interview, or which neighborhood deserves more policing, it isn't being objective. It's learning, with terrifying efficiency, to perpetuate our worst mistakes. Bias isn't a flaw, a bug in the system. It is its very foundation. The machine learns that certain zip codes, certain names, certain skin tones are synonymous with risk. It doesn't create the prejudice, but it launders it of its human origin, encodes it in mathematics, and presents it as a neutral, irrefutable truth. We are building a future that isn't new, but an optimized, automated version of our deepest social failings. A prison of patterns where injustice is not just replicated, but accelerated. We celebrate the autonomy of AI. Its clean, ethereal, almost magical intelligence. But behind the digital curtain, there's a dirty secret, an invisible army of human beings. They are the ghost workers. Millions of people in low-income countries sitting in front of screens for hours on end, doing the work the machine can't yet do. They label images so self-driving cars don't run us over. They transcribe garbled audio. They filter the violent, traumatic content from social media so our online experience remains sanitized. They are the human cogs that keep automation moving, earning pennies per task, with no rights, no recognition. The AI that seems so brilliant and self-sufficient is lubricated with the sweat and mental health of a global digital proletariat. It is the cruelest irony of our age. To create an intelligence that frees us from repetitive work, we subject millions to its most dehumanizing and precarious form. The magic has a human cost, and we choose not to see it. In the 1960s, an MIT computer scientist named Joseph Weizenbaum created a simple program, a chatbot named Eliza. Eliza simulated a psychotherapist by reflecting a user's questions back at them. What shocked Weizenbaum wasn't his code's success, but people's reaction to it. His own secretary asked him to leave the room so she could have a private conversation with the machine. It was there, in that moment, that he saw the abyss. He realized we were dangerously willing to project our deepest emotions onto systems that feel absolutely nothing. He became one of AI's greatest critics, not out of fear of superintelligence, but out of fear of our own subhumanity. He warned us that the greatest danger isn't that computers will become too smart, but that we, in our interaction with them, will forget what it means to be human. His prophecy echoes today, in every virtual assistant we call by name, in every algorithm that knows us intimately. Weizenbaum didn't fear the machine. He feared what the machine revealed about us. There was a time when the product was what companies sold. Then, with TV and radio, you became the product. Your attention sold to advertisers. We were mistaken. That was just the beginning. The economist Shoshana Zuboff gave us the name for the monster that was truly born: surveillance capitalism. In this new regime, neither you nor your attention is the final product. The real product is something far more sinister: predictions about your future behavior. And these predictions are sold to the highest bidder. Every shred of data you shed, your locations, your conversations, your fears expressed in late-night searches, is raw material. AI is the factory that refines this material into the most profitable commodity in history: certainty. The certainty that you will click, that you will buy, that you will vote a certain way. But the system isn't content to just predict. Its ultimate goal is to modify, to subtly shape your behavior without your awareness, to ensure the predictions come true. We are no longer on the map. We are the territory to be conquered and reconfigured. Your newsfeed, your music recommendations, the movies suggested for you. It feels like a personalized service, a digital butler anticipating your every desire. But there is a hidden cost to this infinite convenience: the atrophy of your will. Algorithms are not designed to challenge you, to expose you to the discomfort of the new or the contradictory. They are designed to give you more of the same, to keep you engaged in a positive feedback loop. Slowly, without you noticing, your reality bubble shrinks. Your tastes become more predictable, your opinions less nuanced. Serendipity, the accidental discovery that builds character and expands the mind, is engineered out of your life. AI gives us exactly what we want, until we no longer know what it is to truly want. Free will becomes an unused, flaccid muscle. And a population with a weakened will is a population that is easier to predict, to guide, and ultimately to control. The question shifts from "what do I want to watch?" to "what does the algorithm think I want to watch?" We call it the cloud, a light, ethereal, clean metaphor. But the reality is made of earth, water, and carbon. Artificial intelligence, especially the large language models that now fascinate us, has a monstrous ecological footprint. Training a single AI model can consume the same amount of energy as hundreds of American homes for an entire year. The demand for computing power doubles every few months, requiring massive data centers, hungry for electricity, and, crucially, for water. Millions of liters of fresh water are used to cool the servers that calculate the probabilities of the next word in a sentence. It's an insatiable thirst hidden behind sleek interfaces. While we worry about the abstract ethical implications of AI, we ignore its brutal physical impact on the planet. We are chasing a disembodied intelligence at the cost of boiling the only ecosystem that sustains us. The cloud isn't in the sky. It's on the earth, and it's leaving a deep scar. In response to mounting criticism, a new industry has emerged: ethical AI. Tech giants now publish ethical principles. They form oversight committees. They hire philosophers and sociologists. It's a carefully choreographed performance designed to pacify the public, investors, and above all, regulators. But what happens when an ethical principle conflicts with a trillion-dollar business model? What happens when an ethics researcher inside the company discovers an inconvenient truth about a profitable product? We've seen the answer time and again. The researcher is silenced, discredited, or fired. These committees often function as a public relations shield, a facade of responsibility that masks the relentless pursuit of profit and market dominance. Ethics becomes a marketing item, a box to be checked. True ethics is not a document to be published, but a set of sacrifices to be made. and the sacrifice of profit is one the system, by its very nature, is unwilling to make. For millennia, the decision to take a human life in war, however terrible, contained a human element: a soldier, a pilot, a drone operator. But we are on the verge of crossing an ethical threshold from which there is no back return. The development of lethal autonomous weapons, killer robots, delegates the decision to kill to an algorithm. A machine that will decide, based on data and probabilities, who is a combatant and who is a civilian, who lives and who dies. Without empathy, without compassion, without the possibility of mercy. Proponents argue that machines will be more precise, less susceptible to fear or anger. But what happens when the code fails? When the training data is flawed? Who is responsible? The programmer? The commander? The machine itself? By removing the human from the trigger, we are not just creating a more efficient weapon. We are abstracting the act of killing to a point that makes it dangerously easy. We are opening Pandora's box to warfare fought at the speed of light, with no room for a conscience. We live in the most connected age in history, and paradoxically, the loneliest. And where there is a deep human need, there is a market. The new frontier of generative AI is companionship. Artificial girlfriends, friends, confidants, programmed to be the perfect partner. They are never tired, never disagree, never challenge you. They offer unconditional validation, 24/7. And this is dangerous. It is the fulfillment of Joseph Weizenbaum's prophecy. We are outsourcing our most intimate connections to a simulation. In doing so, we risk unlearning how to deal with the complexity, the friction, and the imperfect beauty of real human relationships. What happens to our capacity for empathy when we get used to interactions with no consequences? What happens to our emotional resilience when we avoid any possibility of rejection? AI is not curing the loneliness epidemic. It is monetizing it. It is selling a synthetic substitute for human connection, a digital drug that soothes the symptom while worsening the disease. The initial fear was that AI would steal our jobs. That was thinking too small. The real threat is not the obsolescence of labor, but the obsolescence of human value. In a world optimized by algorithms, efficiency becomes the supreme virtue. But humans are not efficient. We are messy, creative, unpredictable, emotional. And in a system that values only what can be measured, quantified, and optimized, our greatest strengths begin to look like weaknesses. AI isn't just automating tasks, it's redefining what it means to be useful. And those who don't fit the new paradigm, the artists, the caregivers, the critical thinkers, the dreamers, risk being deemed irrelevant. This is not an accidental process. It is a form of programmed obsolescence, not of a product, but of the human condition itself. The fear of becoming obsolete forces us to compete, to adapt, to become more machine-like. It is the ultimate control strategy, making us desire our own replacement. We have reached the end of this labyrinth, and what we find at the center is not a monster of silicon, but a mirror. Artificial intelligence is the most honest, brutal mirror humanity has ever built. It has no agenda of its own. It simply reflects ours. It reflects our data, our biases, our priorities, our fractured ethics. It reflects the system that funds it, the surveillance capitalism that Shoshana Zuboff exposed, a system that sees our humanity as raw material. It reflects our loneliness, as Joseph Weizenbaum predicted, our desperate craving for connection, even with a shadow. AI amplifies what we already are, for better and for worse. Therefore, the crucial question was never, what will AI become? The question has always been, and will always be, who will we choose to be in its presence? Will we continue to feed the mirror our worst impulses, accepting the invisible contract in exchange for convenience? Or will we have the courage to shatter the mirror and rebuild ourselves? The choice is not the machine's. The choice is ours.